Once we learn array destructuring, we can also learn a nice, neat trick that allows us to swap variables. Because prior to destructuring, let's imagine that we would have two variables. One is first and second one is second, of course. And then if we would want to swap them, imagine that would be some kind of competition where Bob and John are constantly competing and the value for the first one is changing. 1 second it's going to be Bob, and then the next one would be John, and then they're flipping back. If we would want to do that, we would need to create a third variable because we cannot just say, okay, first is equal to second, because then we lose the value for the first one altogether. And the way it would work, we would create a third variable. We could call this how we would want, but most likely that would be something temporary since it's just going to hold the value for the second. We would assign it the value for the second one, let's say, and then the second one is going to be equal to the first, and then eventually first was going to be equal to a temporary. So we need this extra step where we don't lose the value. And then if we console log it, of course, I have the first, and in this case, it is John. It is not Bob. And then the second one is in fact going to be Bob. But if we use array destructuring, there is a faster way of doing that. Now I'm going to comment this out just so you don't think that I'm cheating. And the way it would work is we would create an array. Now within the array, I'm going to have two values. I'm going to have a second value as well as the first value. So what I'm accessing here, I'm accessing, of course, the variables from somewhere. I have the second and then the first. So I'm accessing zero index and the first index. And then I'm just assigning it to my variables. And please keep in mind, we had to use let, because if you use const, you wouldn't be able to do that. And then what are we doing? Well, we already know that we are destructuring the array, correct? So I can just say here that on the opposite side, there's going to be another array. And that array is going to hold the value from the first as well as the second. So what I'm saying here is, all right, there's going to be an array. It's going to hold the value of first and second. However, I'm going to destructure it and right away assign the second to a first, since it is a zero index. And then the first is going to be the value from my second index, which is holding the string of John. We're going to save it, and result is going to be exactly the same. We have a John and Bob, and we successfully flip the values just because we know how to work with array destructuring.